Welcome to the Bull and Bear Show, episode number 16. I'm here with Nash Cowboy and the Market Maverick. How you guys doing today?
Hey,
Good.
how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We got a great show ahead. We're going to talk about a lot of trending topics. The first topic we want to talk about today is the housing market. So this says that the housing market in America is stuck. Americans cannot afford homes. Investors are not buying property, and economists see little relief ahead. Nash Cowboy, you're in America. What do you think about this statement? Is this true?
I think it's absolutely true. As a matter of fact, I was talking to my banker about a construction loan, and they're not even giving construction loans now,
Wow.
um, because it's just too much risk for them at this point. Um, I don't see anybody buying houses right now, and honestly, I think if you do buy a house right now, it's very foolish. Um, with the interest rates the way they are, I mean, like I said before, if you bought a house right now and you were at 7% interest, which is actually a little lower than what the market's going right now. If you bought a house for $300,000 at 7% interest, you're looking at $2,100 a month just in interest.
That's crazy.
Um, so I mean, it's foolish to buy a house right now. Absolutely foolish. Um, but I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. I think it's gonna pop.
Market Maverick, what do you think about this? Are houses unaffordable? What are people going to do if they can't buy homes? What do we do?
Um, what do we do is different than what should be done and what's going to happen. Right now, they're saying I'm in Canada, so in Canada, the Canadian home prices they're saying are going to remain flat until the end of 2023. And you were telling me that they were going to hold the rates at 5%. Is that
Yes,
true, or did I hear that wrong?
that's true. The Bank of Canada has decided to hold rates at 5%.
All right, so I'm reading here that 5%. Bank Canada holds 5% potential end to historic heights. Bloomberg says, and how long is that going to last, really? Because in '08, I believe they said subprime mortgages would be held at 5% as well. We know what happened there.
What's
So
crazy?
I have little belief in the real estate system and the dollar. In fact, the dollar looks strong, but the political perspective for trade with Canada, not trading with China, aluminum, and a bunch of other microchips and so much other stuff, food, and Ukraine's bread situation, not leaving bread. I mean, the housing market is one of the least of my worries right now, but I don't think it's going to hold at all. I think it's going to, they say they're going to bring down rates. I don't believe it because they printed, they said they printed 20 trillion. But if you go on Google and you type in current fiat money worldwide, you'll find 80 trillion. But in 2019, it said 23 trillion. So they printed over $50 trillion. So how is it possible to lower those rates?
Yeah, they can't.
Well,
Um,
I mean, it is possible to lower the rates. They just got to do it. The problem is inflation is higher than what they want, and they want to get inflation down to 2%. And the only tool they have to lower inflation is to raise rates. The problem is the higher they raise rates, the more people get into debt, the more people can't afford their mortgages, the more people can't afford food, they can't afford gas. The price of everything is rising to the point where people are becoming homeless. People can't afford to buy, they can't afford to rent. Everything is getting astronomical. Now, I live in Vancouver where the housing prices, you won't believe this, the average house now in the greater Vancouver area is $2.4 million. That's not just Vancouver, that's Vancouver and an hour around. It's now $2.4 million for a home. And if you want to
How,
live in
how much
West
square foot is that?
Vancouver, if you want to live in West or North Vancouver, which is the most expensive place in Vancouver, the average home is now over $4 million. That's not sustainable and it's not affordable And that's why I believe we are on the verge of having a massive housing bubble.
What's the average wage there?
The average wage is probably like, I don't know, maybe, I think the average household income is about $80,000.
Sure.
$80 to
Okay, so
$100,000 is the average.
so there's no way the average person could afford that.
No, they can't. It's unaffordable. It's unsustainable. In fact, a lot of people like me are tired of it and are looking to leave to different cities, different countries, different markets that are affordable, because the housing in Canada, specifically in Vancouver and in Toronto, is no longer affordable. It's completely unaffordable. And we are in what some are calling the biggest bubble in Canadian history for housing.
Yeah.
We're on the verge of having this bubble burst, and in a really historic and terrible way. And like, do you guys have any plans of how can they turn this around? Nash Cowboy, is there anything they can do to turn this around? Any ideas?
I mean, I'm on the conspiracy side of that. I don't think they plan on turning it around. If they can delete the middle class, then there's only rich and poor, and the rich will rule the poor. I think that's all their plan. They don't want us coming up in the world and being on their level.
I actually
Maverick,
read
what do
a
you think about
story.
this?
I read something recently along that conspiracy, and a lot of these conspiracies turned out to be true. So I'm just gonna say that they actually. Oh, what the hell were we? What were we just talking about? I literally
bubble.
had
Housing.
reading something.
The
while I
housing
was
bubble.
saying it. What?
The housing bubble.
The housing
The
bubble.
housing bubble.
So, oh my God, I was gonna say something so interesting right now, and I literally just like, you know, when it just slips your mind.
Yeah.
Shit, I literally can't.
Okay. Let me ask you a question,
Oh,
Market Maverick.
I'll come
What
back. It'll
would
come
you
back to me.
do if you were the prime minister? What would you do to solve this housing crisis?
Okay, that's what we were talking about. I was searching up something. Anyways, I would throw Trudeau in jail.
Hey, I'd be down with that.
That
Right
would
next to
solve
right
the
next to
housing
Biden.
crisis. Because a lot of Canada, unfortunately, and the US has been basing most of their policies based on what the World Economic Forum wants, and not what their people want.
Look at this. This is my next
What the
topic.
hell was I
An
talking
international strategist says Canada is sitting on the largest housing bubble of all time. Is he right? What do you think, Nash Cowboy? Are we in the biggest housing bubble of all time?
Absolutely, and I think we are too. And a balloon can only take in so much air before it pops. What
100%.
goes up must come down. Period. So I think that bubble's about had it. Again, I think it'd be foolish to buy a house right now because, like in '08, my friend bought a house and it was at its peak, and then it popped, and then her house was worth half of what it was. Now she's in the green, but I keep telling her to sell while it's hot, and she ain't doing it.
I
But
I agree. The housing bubble's fucked, man.
So, Market Maverick, are we in a housing bubble? Yes or no?
We are, and I can prove that by saying the name of one person, Michael Burry. He just made a $1.6 billion on a NASDAQ and S&P crash on the two major systems. So his net worth is 1.2 billion. How is he investing 1.6? He took a loan. That's how sure he is. He took a loan and he's using the loan to pay the premiums on these put options. So if Michael Burry is doing that, I have absolutely no belief in what's to come next. I think it's going to be bigger than ever. I think it's going to be a collapse of a currency, not collapse. Let's just say, I don't like that word. I like to say a devaluation of, let's say, 50% of these currencies. I think is a strong possibility to happen. And the housing bubble and the inflation and everything that's happening is just a precursor warning. And if Michael Burry sees it, and we're all in cryptos because we've lost fault in the fiat enough to put major percentages of our physical money is in crypto because we lost hope, and we like the fact that we own crypto and not just the dollar. So when that dollar takes
Now,
a hit,
what about
I think things are gonna get.
what about this statement? What about this statement? The stock market drives U.S. households to record wealth. I don't understand this statement, but this is a statement that's being talked about on Reuters. They're saying that U.S. homeowners are having record wealth because of the stock market. Should that not be because of the housing market? I don't understand this statement. Are people in America rich because of the stock market right now, Nash Cowboy?
I
Is
don't
this
think
real?
so. If anything, there was more millionaires made during the last crypto bull market than any other time in history. But maybe they're correlating it because people sold houses at high records and then invested in the stock market at the same time. Maybe they're trying to flip that correlation the other way, but I don't believe the stock market made household new record. Maybe the other way around, but not in that way. No.
What do you think, Mark and Maverick, about that statement? Stock market drives U.S. households to record wealth.
So right here, I'm looking at J.P. Morgan Chase. Oh, excuse me, I pressed the wrong button here. Excuse me 1 second. So J.P. Morgan Chase actually on their website, he talks about administrative retail bank data to explore the relationship between the U.S. stock market and consumer behavior. And they talk about household behavior leading to wealth in this jpmorganchase.com Institute Research Financial Market. So this has to be something to do with mass psychology and how people react. It's all on a graph and a chart somewhere.
I mean, who put out the article too? Like, is it somebody trying to move people into the stock market to help recover it? Is it something like
Article?
that? You know?
You talking about what the article is?
It was
Yeah,
written on
article.
Reuters. The article was on Reuters, so it just didn't make sense to me because I don't feel like the stock market is making people rich right now.
So
I think
check
if
this out.
anything, it's real estate that's made people rich.
Yeah.
People are rich because they have equity in their homes. Anyone that's a homeowner has become a millionaire essentially here in Vancouver and in Toronto. Anyone that owns a home is now a millionaire. That is what's driving wealth. I don't believe it's the stock market. But if you're rich, you probably have access money, so you're probably buying stocks too.
If they bought Tesla, they're
that's
good.
what I was saying. It's probably the other way around, and they're just trying to make it look like it's that way so that more people invest in the stock market.
Interesting. Yeah, I think
So
I could see that.
look at the information that this article has on JP Morgan Chase. It talks about men and women, the amount of men and women that are invested in the stock market. It's all on a graph. Sensitivity of credit card spending changes to the stock market returns. It's got a lot of information. Monthly changes and transfer to investment accounts and stock market returns. So they've got all this information. Growth and transfer to investment accounts during COVID. And the information on that interest rate, or sorry, the household, what you're talking about, is related to this as well, the stock market and household financial behavior. Bank of Canada says interest rates.
So this is my next topic. The Bank of Canada says that interest rates may not be high enough. So even though the rates are super high, everybody's struggling. People can't afford to buy homes. People can't afford to put gas in their car. People can't afford to buy food. And people are struggling all over the world. There's more homelessness than ever before. People are living in their cars. People are living in tents. The Bank of Canada's come out and say interest rates may not be high enough to slow down inflation. So what does that tell me? That tells me that rates are about to go higher. Now, in saying that, the Bank of Canada did decide to pause rates today. So what that tells me is there's more rate hikes coming. So Nash Cowboy, do you think that the United States is going to bring rates higher? Because it looks like the Bank of Canada is saying, even though they paused on rates this week, that rates most likely are going to have to go higher. Do you think that the rates go higher in the US?
I think they absolutely go higher. Like I said, they're trying to milk everything they can out of the middle and lower class that they can. They're trying to make the middle class the lower class, and it's all hype, scare tactics, trying to divide us even more.
I agree with you there. And Market Maverick, what do you think about this? Bank of Canada saying interest rates may have to go higher. I think this is a disgusting statement. I think that there's a lot of criminal activity happening at this point that I'm just tired of.
You know
What do
what?
we do about this, Market Maverick? Like, what's going to happen here? Like, when does this stop?
I'm looking at a financial system review from 2023, and they say that the financial system is stable and efficient in sustaining economic growth and raising the standards of living. This is in the Bank of Canada's .ca, and they believe. Well, the thing is, the Bank of Canada owns major CDOs in the housing market. They own all the homes. So when they raise those interest rates, they're profiting directly. They don't have. It's not like there's a middleman. They're making all that money, and if they lower the rates, they'll make money too. So what they do is they just use the public as a scapegoat. Let's say
Yeah.
they use these articles to create fear and tensions, but a large negative shock, such as it's saying here, a global recession with significant unemployment that further depresses housing market, could increase loan defaults among households. It defaults on uninsured mortgages with negative equity were to occur on a large scale. They could result in sizable credit losses for Canadian lenders, shutting down the bank. So if the war continues the way it is or gets worse, if the situation with Trump and Biden gets worse, because their tension is high in the United States. They're tied at 43% for the presidency. Trudeau, he's got 83% of Canadians that want him gone. There's no chance he's going to win. So I believe personally, on a note, from a personal opinion, I think there's going to be a possible another lockdown in order to calm the economy once again. Because
I agree with that. We've talked about that, Nash. Do you think there's going to be another lockdown?
they have to calm
Absolutely.
down the economy.
As a matter of fact, I know a lot of nurses that their hospitals have already told them that, and this was a few weeks ago, they've already told them that there's another round of COVID coming and to prepare for lockdowns. One of my good friends here in this town, he is the EMS, he's the coroner, he's everything. And they've told him that they're going to start throwing in mandates again. So like, how do they know that before it even happens? It's all part of the pandemic. Again, poverty brings power. Now, thankfully, there are some states here that have already passed bills that are rejecting any kind of mandates. Hopefully, all of them will, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
So this is the next statement here. The Bank of Canada holds rates steady, which I told you guys earlier, as the economy shifts into a weaker period. So if the economy is shifting into a weaker period, that must mean we're in a recession. Do you believe we are in a recession right now, Nash Cowboy?
I think we've been in a recession for a long time. I have never in my life seen as many help wanted signs ever. I mean, literally every business has help wanted signs. Like, there's plenty of work out there, but nobody's working. Everybody's drawing off the government, drawing welfare, and uh, getting their free ride, and nobody's contributing to it. So, I mean, and we just keep printing money like it's toilet paper. There's no way we're not in a recession. As a matter of fact, when you compare like the average household income in the Great Depression, and then you mark up to what that amount of money is worth now, we actually make less money than they did in the peak of the Great Depression on average.
Market Maverick, are we in a recession? We can't hear you, bud. We can't hear you.
There we go. I believe
There you
that
go.
we've been in a recession since the beginning of this virus situation. How are we not? The money. I used to pay for cheese. I'm paying double. It's gone up 120% in price. So
Wow.
cheese alone, when I'm at the store, I look at the cheese and I start laughing. So March 15, the Royal Bank of Canada said the thought leadership group predicted that the country was heading into a mild recession in mid 23. I think what their word of mild is actually a possible political scenario that could affect everyone. Who knows what it is? But personally, based on my research, we are in a recession and we're not coming out of it anytime soon. I believe it's going to get worse very soon, actually. I think, my opinion, I know you guys, we all think differently, but my opinion is there's going to be a lockdown and the preparation is done. How can we shut down the world when the dollar takes a hit? Because Saudi Arabia already left the US dollar.
Yeah.
40 countries with BRICS now. 40 countries have already left the US dollar.
Where does that leave the dollar?
But yet, while this is happening, the US dollar is going up.
Exactly.
How crazy is that?
That actually happens before it crashes.
Well, it's going up. So it's not showing any weakness,
Also,
despite the fact that 40 countries have left it.
Also, you got to realize that it's not illegal to lie.
Oh,
Just-
yeah.
We know that for sure.
You know, I never understood lying.
In this world, we're being lied to more than we're ever being told the truth. Clearly.
Yeah.
How often does anyone tell the truth anymore when it comes to politics?
Yeah.
All right, so let's just change gears for a second. So I want to talk about something different real quick. We're going to talk about the NFL season. So the NFL season is starting. They had the first game on Thursday. Detroit came out with a huge win over the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions. I'm a huge football fan. So as a guy that's concerned about all these global problems, I'm concerned about the economy, I'm concerned about recession, I'm concerned about interest rates, I'm concerned about housing prices, I'm concerned about gas prices, I'm concerned about food prices, I'm concerned about everything crashing around me, but I'm going to be watching football tomorrow. So is the NFL season the perfect distraction? What do you think, Nash Cowboy?
I've said this many times. I don't really watch sports unless it's an NBA play. I do gamble on football, but it's small amounts. Like, I got a dollar bet out right now that'll pay like 300,000 if I win. And a dollar bet that'll pay 500,000. I got a dollar bet that'll pay over $1 million. So I pay attention to who's winning just because I place these crazy bets. But I don't ever watch the games. Like, very, very, very rarely do I watch a game. And if I do, it's just because I'm at somebody's house chilling and they're watching it. So I don't think it's a distraction for people like me. Um, However, it can be. I mean, I've got some severe sports addicts that watch every freaking game and know everything about every player. Uh, so it could be a great distraction for people like them.
Market Maverick, is the NFL season starting right in time at the same time as interest rates are up, recession happening, people can't afford housing anymore? Is this season of the NFL a perfect distraction for what's really going on in the world?
You know, it's interesting you say the word distraction because the Colosseum was built in ancient Rome, actually by Vespasian, who built the Colosseum to distract the Romans, keep their attention directed away from the current financial system. It's not why the NFL is back, but I gotta say I'm a Raiders fan, I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, and I love the Denver Broncos. What can I say? Also the Patriots. There's a lot of teams I like. I'm not just a one team guy in the NFL. I'm not from the United States, so I can do that. And you know what? I think honestly, I watch football a lot. I love watching the highlights. My favorite game ever that ever came out in the world history of games was NFL Blitz on Nintendo 64. You guys remember?
Well, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. They're playing the Giants on the
I
Sunday
love
nighter.
him too.
And I'm telling you, I will be watching sports all day tomorrow. I won't be looking at politics. I won't be looking at the stock market. I won't be looking at Bitcoin. I'll be watching football all day tomorrow. So honestly, I'm going to tell you straight up, as a huge sports fan, it's a huge distraction.
Who you
It
watch
is.
tomorrow? The Bengals, eh?
All I can say is if I'm hoping your Cowboys get spanked because that'll be one more win towards my $300,000 bet.
Oh, tomorrow the
Hey, I
Falcons are
hope you
playing.
win, bro, but I don't want the Cowboys to lose, but I do hope you win your bet.
Tomorrow, Atlanta Falcons versus the Panthers. That's gonna be a good one.
There's going to be a lot of good games
Oh
tomorrow,
yeah.
and it's the first week of the season, so everybody has a chance this week. So it's going to be a lot of fun. NFL season starts. The first game of the season was a huge upset. Detroit beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions. Nobody really expected that, not even me. So I just expect tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a huge distraction, and these distractions are needed when the world is in chaos. We've got a war in Ukraine, which no one really talks about anymore, despite the fact that the United States and Canada have sent billions of dollars in relief. Nobody talks about it anymore, right? How often do you guys hear about the war now? Rarely, right? It's not even on the news anymore. Nobody talks about it. It's old news, right?
What?
Yeah, man. You know, it pops up when it needs to.
Almost done.
That's right. They pop it up when they need to, like when they want to have another
You know,
distraction or they want to
I
have
don't understand.
Yeah, I'm
something to
not
really
going to.
focus on other than what is really the most important thing. And what's the most important thing for families? Feeding their kids, putting food on the table, paying the bills, being able to put gas in their car. But right now, people can't do that. So what do? They turn to Sunday Night Football because it makes
I
them
love it.
feel good when their team wins. Even though
Tomorrow,
they're not winning, if their team wins for that short period of time, they can forget about their problems. A great example is when Argentina won the World Cup. The country is in disarray. Their economy is collapsing. Their dollar is worthless. But when they won the World Cup, everybody was in bliss. Everybody celebrated and everybody united in the country felt great because Messi won a World Cup and Argentina won a World Cup. That was a great distraction from the reality of the fact that that country has completely fallen apart financially.
you know, I have a theory that Messi went to America because I mean nothing bad about Messi. I love the guy. He came out of nothing. He was poor and he had a disease where he didn't grow the same time frame as us. So he did deal with a lot and then he became a superstar. So he has a nice backstory. I respect that a lot. But he went to America because Ronaldo went to Saudi Arabia. So he wanted that deal. But then I realized they're both taking these moves, Ronaldo there and um, Messi in America, because they're getting a little bit older. So if you notice that they're actually having a little more fun as they're playing, both of them, because they're playing against, to them, they're extremely good. So they don't really have to try so hard. They can actually have some fun now as they get closer to retirement. And as we do that, I gotta find some two more new superstars to fly
Okay, I want to move to the next topic. So the next topic is that El Salvador has created a Bitcoin revolution where Bitcoin has now been considered legal tender in El Salvador for 2 years. And this week they announced Bitcoin education for everybody in El Salvador, which means if you go to school in El Salvador, your teacher has to know how to buy and sell Bitcoin, and the teacher has to teach you how to buy and sell Bitcoin. My question to you guys is this: is El Salvador ahead of the pack, and is the rest of the world going to move in this direction where everyone in the world in the future will be learning how to buy and sell Bitcoin? Nash Cowboy, what do you think?
I think it's needed. I hope it goes to that. I do think it's definitely needed. Uh, People aren't taught finances in general in school anymore. Um, so obviously, crypto is the future. We're definitely moving into that world, whether we like it or not. So I think that the schools everywhere should teach that. Um,
Yeah.
so that you're not losing out like crazy, like most people do in the beginning when they first start into crypto.
So do you see a day where every single school teaches the students how to buy and sell Bitcoin? Do you think that happens in the future in America?
What's that? Say that again.
Do you think there's a day in America where you go to class, you've got lots of kids, your kids go to school and they come home and they say, "Dad, I learned about Bitcoin today." Do you think that day is coming soon?
Um, I don't think that they're gonna do it soon. Because on the conspiracy side of things, I think they want to hold us down. To bring other countries down a notch so that there's a little bit of separation between the rich and poor, a little more separation. But I think it will come in the future, yes.
Mark and Maverick, do you see a day where in Canada they teach the students how to buy and sell Bitcoin in class?
I highly doubt it. Highly, highly, highly doubt it. And the reason I say this is because I made a video myself. I believe I'm looking at the article right now, actually, in 2021, about the IMF stating if you believe you're going to make Bitcoin legal tender, I would think twice. And here I'm reading the IMF had hit out at El Salvador in late 2021 when the Central American country became the first to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, a move that's since been copied by Central African Republic. They are also a member of the BRICS. So that last time we went live about a month ago when I was on with you guys, we talked about BRICS using Bitcoin is a big possibility. And now I'm looking at the G20 plan or decisions to meet in India, including guarding against excessive capital flows, adopting unambiguous tax rules and laws. And Brazil just made Bitcoin 23% tax, I believe. They just taxed Bitcoin 23%. So the countries in the BRICS seem to be adopting Bitcoin. However, with my own research, I believe as the Royal Bank of Canada is partnered with Ripple, TD's partnered with Ripple, and ATB's partnered with Ripple, I think they're going in the direction of a central bank digital currency issued by Ripple. So it's possible that Bitcoin could be legal tender for third world countries who would be able to adopt waiting a few minutes for the transaction process.
See, my thing is, why would they teach Bitcoin in school when they don't even teach us about finance?
That's a very
In
good.
North America,
That's
they don't
very
teach
good.
finance in school. They've never taught anyone about budgeting.
Yeah.
They've never taught anyone about making money. They never teach you about education, financial education in school. Why would they teach Bitcoin?
You know, in 1904, the Rockefellers, they bought the CBE and they took out financial literacy. So they purposely don't want you to learn about money. And Robert Kiyosaki says that. So that's where I got that information, was they don't teach you about money. Why do we go to school? To get a job. Why do we get a job? To make money. Why don't we learn about money? That's what I didn't ever understand, so I was always the black sheep. And now, the honest truth, I honestly think that Bitcoin could be targeted by NATO if the BRICS continues to push forward in this adoption. That's what worries me, is if Bitcoin is anonymous and can be used by anyone, but what if we've seen that Russian billionaire, the fourth largest Russian billionaire in the world, died in an airplane crash in Russia, and he held 100,000 Bitcoins in his wallet. So if the enemies of my enemies are holding Bitcoin, Bitcoin's an enemy. So Bitcoin becomes a target. That's what worries me, is the strong anonymity of Bitcoin puts it at a potential risk because of the political spectrum and what's happening, unfortunately.
Hey, Blaze, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, welcome, Blaze. Blaze, what do you think about this? Do you see a day that they will ever teach Bitcoin education in America in the schools?
Good question. I definitely think they will.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
That's good.
because digital currency
I mean, I'd
is
love to
not
see
going to
it.
go
I just
away.
don't know if it'll ever happen. I mean, the SEC doesn't even want to approve it to do anything. They just want to make it difficult for Bitcoin and Ripple and cryptocurrency. So I just can't see how they would open up the doors to Bitcoin education. I hope it happens. I just doubt that we're going to see it, because here in Canada, they don't teach any financial education whatsoever. So I just can't see why they would teach people about Bitcoin, but I would love to see it.
I think 100% they will, because simply because digital currency is the next, it's going to be the thing,
Hey, man, I hope you're right.
They're going to be teaching about
Cash
the
Cowboy, we
digital
lost you,
US
bro.
dollar, the digital Canadian dollar, and then, other options like Bitcoin. Like, they need to teach it, because
in El Salvador, Blaze, they're actually teaching kids in school now how to buy and sell Bitcoin.
I agree
All
with
of
it.
all of El Salvador, the whole country has adopted Bitcoin education. Teachers are teaching children now how to buy and sell Bitcoin in every single school in El Salvador.
I don't think we
Guess
need
what?
to.
They're going to go
I
from
believe this is going to make El Salvador the richest country in the world in the future.
That's
because with the
exactly
price
what's
of
going to happen.
Bitcoin,
They're going to be a
with the
rich
price
country.
of Bitcoin potentially escalating to $1 million in the future, could you imagine if everybody in El Salvador owns Bitcoin, what that would do for the country?
Oh my God.
It will literally turn it
It's
from
gonna
one of the
spike
poorest
I
them.
know
countries
what
to
it
one of
would
the
do.
richest countries in the world.
You know what it would do? It would turn the tide on the current plan that's in motion by NATO and the current elites. It will attack their system. They won't allow it. They have jets, they have missiles, they have bombs, they've got satellites. There's no way they're going to allow a country that they wanted to only hold 500 billion, because they don't want them too strong, because the country next to them, and it's all planned and set in motion there, and it's sufficient and it's working. So based on what they want. So I'm like, if something, let's say the country all of a sudden has a 10x in their capital. Now they're richer than Apple. And they decide to say, we're going to shut down all Apple products. So they start, going against the tide. They'll have power. Power is not good for the banking system if those people are not following their standards. So I doubt that anything will happen. I don't think we'll get away with it. The IMF doesn't want it.
Market Maverick, we just lost you there for a second. We're having problems hearing you. Your volume went down. Okay, this leads me to my next question. Bitcoin price prediction. BTC eyes soaring 20% rally. Will the bull run continue? These guys are predicting a 20% rally in Bitcoin. Nash Cowboy, do you see that happening anytime soon?
I not until after September. I'm still sticking with my guns on it. I think there might be a fast pump, but I don't think until after September we're going to see a total monthly positive. And then October maybe. I think there'll be a big pump in October.
Okay, Blaze, what do you think? Do you see a 20% rally in Bitcoin coming soon?
20%, that's it?
This is what they're saying coming soon. So probably like in October. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe there's going to be a pump, 20% pump, which from these prices would take it back up over 30,000. I could see that happening.
I mean,
guys,
if we can get to November
possible?
on it, we're talking maybe 30, 50%, I think.
Okay.
I think it's going to go higher than 20%. If there's going to be a run, bro, it's going to be more than 20%.
Earl says that he believes that it'll be 20% at the end of October.
Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe 20%. But I think shortly after that we could see a $40,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, like that would be fantastic. I think we maybe see a $40,000 Bitcoin right before the Bitcoin halving. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That we see a nice little move right before the Bitcoin halving into early 2024 to 40,000. And then when the Bitcoin halving happens, we start seeing it really take off, getting up to the 50,000, 60,000. Then eventually, in my opinion, in 2025, we're going to see at least $100,000 Bitcoin. That's what I'm expecting. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I feel the same way. I do. I feel
Okay,
100,000 Bitcoin coming. Mm-hmm.
Now, it's funny because one article says Bitcoin's going up 20%. The next article says they feel like Bitcoin is going to drop. So this article states here that deeply concerned, the Fed issues a serious $120 billion crypto warning as the price of Bitcoin goes through the death cross looming for Bitcoin and Ethereum, essentially saying Bitcoin's at a price point right now where if it drops below 25,000, we could see a serious drop in Bitcoin. So my question to you guys is this. Do you think we're going to see Bitcoin drop severely below 25,000 anytime soon? We'll start with you, Nash.
I feel absolutely. I think I'm thinking in the $22,000 range is where we're going to see it drop to. 21 maybe.
I could see that. What do you think, Blaze? You think we're going to see Bitcoin drop underneath 25 and drop down to 22? Some people say it might go under 20 again. You think that's going to happen, Blaze? What do you think?
Not in this day and age. No, I don't think it's going to go below 22. I don't think it's probably even going to hit 22. I think that Bitcoin, every time they drop a couple K, people are buying, bro. They're buying it right back up.
I agree.
Nobody wants to let it drop that. If it goes to 25K, that's yard sale for everybody. Oh, thank you. So there's so many billionaires out there that are keeping this token going, And I'm sorry, not just billionaires. Full countries.
Earl's in the chat, and Earl believes that we're going to see a $35,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year and a $43,000 Bitcoin right before halving. And he believes that 25K will be the low to rise 35% by November. Hey, I hope you're right, Earl. I don't want to see it go below 25,000.
That's what I'm saying. The same thing as Earl by November.
Yep. All right, let's go on to this next topic. We're running through and we've only got a little bit of time left. So my next topic is this. Inflation explained, why prices keep going up and who's to blame. Nash Cowboy, who do we blame for the fact that inflation keeps going up and prices keep going up. Whose fault is this? Who do we blame now?
I think it all starts with the American government. Just printing billions and billions of dollars and giving it away, and putting us farther into debt. And they say that they have nothing to do with inflation, but I totally disagree. And then everything follows into suit with that, along with the pandemic, all that stuff. I think it's all tied in together. So, if I were to point the blame somewhere, starting with the elites, but the puppets after that, the Democrat Party.
Okay, thank you. Very good answer. Blaze, what do you think? Who's to blame for this crazy inflation and rising rates of everything going up?
The one and only culprit, the government.
The
It's all the
Fed.
government's fault.
Blame the Fed. Blame the Fed. Well, listen, the Fed, and Nash talked about this, the Fed printed crazy amounts of money and gave people money knowing that that would destroy the economy, but they did it anyways. Now, the only way that they can fix what they created by printing all this extra money is by raising rates and squeezing the same people that they gave money to. Stupid, terrible idea, which clearly
the problem
didn't work.
is they're donating billions of dollars to other countries right now that we can't do that for.
Of course, we don't even have billions of dollars for ourselves, but yet we seem to always find money for Ukraine. Canada, United States always finds money for Ukraine, but yet we got no more money for our own citizens. We're taxing our citizens while we send billions of dollars to the Ukraine. Doesn't make any sense to me.
They donate money that we don't even have printed yet, and take it back from us. I mean, of course, inflation is going to skyrocket.
Okay, guys, my last topic before we say goodbye. We're running out of time. The SEC counters Ripple in effort to appeal groundbreaking XRP ruling. I'm starting to get sick of the SEC. I'm tired of their nonsense. What do you guys think about this? The SEC loses a case against Ripple and then they appeal. Why can't they just take the loss? What do you think this is, Nash? Like, when are they just going to take the loss, man?
They're just trying to gain more power over the whole crypto economy. XRP obviously being their top priority because it's whooping their ass. So I don't think they'll ever take the loss. They're going to keep trying to force different regulations upon all of it. So they're either going to lose or they're going to keep trying to win. All for power. Everything good versus bad. It all comes down to power and control. In every circumstance, every avenue of life, it all comes down to who wants the power, who wants the control.
Well said. Blaze, what do you think?
I think
Why
the
is the SEC constantly fighting everyone and losing? And then when they lose, they appeal. They can't take a loss. They always appeal. What is this all about?
Bro,
it's
it's simply
absolutely crazy. I hate the SEC. SEC, if you're watching, I hate you.
Right. It's one thing. They want to put a monkey wrench into the engine. I'm telling you, dude, they are going nowhere with these lawsuits, okay?
100%.
So if they just backed off like little pansies, right, they look like they were just fronting, okay? So the reason why they're appealing is to show that they truly believe that this needs to be done. And also to let everybody know they're not going to back off and they're just going to keep on putting needles in our balloons. So if I was everybody watching and everybody in this concern about the SEC, every time I hear about them, I just think it's like, you know, like a fictional character book or something. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't believe in them. And I don't think they're ever going to do anything. I don't think they're going to get anywhere.
No, I agree with you. I mean, they lost before. They're going to lose again.
They're just an organization that's wasting money.
What's changed? Nothing's changed. So I think the SEC is just spinning their wheels, trying to create drama, trying to create a distraction. And that's what we're living in. We're living in a world where we're getting squeezed by governments and they distract us with sports. You know, they distract us with news. They distract us with devastation. They distract us with natural disasters. It's like
that's all. You're right, Rich. That's all it is. Is one more distraction for the big election coming up.
Yep.
And keep our minds off of inflation and blame it all on crypto. And, you know, you got to point a finger at somebody. So that's obviously the weakest chain right now, you know, is cryptocurrency.
And
All right,
to
guys,
make
we're out of
them,
time. I just want to thank you, Earl, for being in the chat. Earl says the SEC is the rich man's tax system from the government. I agree with you. SEC, just give it up, man. Everyone's tired of hearing you
Close
guys.
the doors.
Everyone's tired of hearing you guys complain and cry about crypto. Just let it go. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Nash Cowboy, Blaze, King Earl in the chat, Market Maverick. I don't know what happened to you, but you were here. Thank you for joining us too. We got guests from all over North America. Hey guys, for those of you guys that are watching, I must remind you, there's always a bull market and bear market somewhere, and we're going to be here every week to talk about it. Thank you for watching. If you're not winning, you're probably not watching. We bring you the winners, CEO interviews, breaking news, trending topics, engaging shows with great guests, and we bring it to you first. Thank you for joining us today, gentlemen, and we'll see you guys next week.
take care, bro.
See you, everybody. Thank you guys for watching.
Later, boys.
And enjoy the football tomorrow. Let's go, Cowboys. Just one more day for distractions, guys.